Yes, Danny. Sit down. I have some good news for you.
Yeah, you mean you're going to give me a raise?
Must you always be facetious? I'm getting a little tired of this constant talk about a raise.
No, don't mind me, Chief. I'm just a natural-born clown, I guess. I won't refer to it anymore.
No. In fact, I've taken steps to see that you don't. I told the cashier this morning to put an extra $25 in your pay envelope every month from now on.
No kidding. Oh, gee, thanks, Chief.
That's all right. I think I ought to point out to you, though, that although you've got a $25 raise, your income will go up by only about $21 a month.
How come? Sounds like double talk to me.
No, it's just that we'll have to deduct the other $4 for income tax purposes. You'll be in a higher income tax bracket now, you know.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Well, I didn't mention that just to take the joy out of life. You see, your next assignment is to do an article on taxation, and I wanted you to have a personal interest in your work.
Chief, you're a sly old fox. But I sure do appreciate the raise, and I'll make this article the best in the entire series to date.
Okay, Danny. Do your best anyway.
Why so glum, Danny? You don't look a bit like a man who just got a raise.
No, it's this article I'm supposed to do on taxation. I just can't seem to get started now.
You can't? Why, many's the time I've heard you beat your gums about taxes. You're usually full of ideas on the subject, all of them indignant. Why don't you just write them down?
Well, for one thing, most of the things I've said about taxes couldn't be printed in a family newspaper. The main trouble is that I've never really thought seriously about taxes. Just beefed about them like everybody else, I guess.
Well, why not? Pretty nearly everybody agrees that taxes are too high. Why don't you just say that?
Well, what taxes are you referring to?
Why, the income tax, of course. What else?
Well, there are other taxes, you know.
Oh, sure. There are city taxes on property. There are dog taxes and bicycle taxes and car tax. And let's see. There's a 3-cent tax on every check you make.
6 cents on checks over $100.
I wouldn't know about that. I never make out any checks over $100.
No, Nellie, you've only scratched the surface. All the taxes you've named are the obvious ones. You pay money directly to the government, and you get something to show you've paid it. An income tax receipt or a car license or a 3-cent stamp. What about the hidden taxes? What about the 8% sales tax, for instance?
Yes, of course, I'd forgotten about that.
Well, it's easier to forget about that kind of taxation. But what about the business taxes that stores and offices have to pay?
Well, that's their worry, isn't it?
No, not entirely. If a storekeeper's going to have any money left to live on after his taxes are paid, well, he has to allow for taxation in the prices he charges.
Yes, I guess that's right.
Now, take this cigarette. I paid 36 cents for a package of 20. That's 1.8 cents, almost 2 cents per cigarette. Well, I checked the figures and discovered that 22 cents out of the 36 represents direct federal taxes. In other words, if the government didn't tax cigarettes, they'd cost about 15 cents for 20.
That's a terrific tax, all right.
Oh, Nellie, it seems that everything we buy is taxed. Oh, way more than most people think it is. Now, those are the hidden taxes. The taxes you pay without knowing you pay them. They make the cost of living much higher than it would be otherwise.
And why don't you just put everything you've told me into your article?
I've got a better scheme that I think will give the answers, Nellie, my girl. What are you doing tonight?
Why, Mr. Marsden, this is so sudden. Nothing. Why?
Now, you've got a date.
Oh, wonderful. Where are we going? I'll wear my new knitted suit with my green...
A date to meet 3 of your fellow taxpayers, if I can get them all to come. And I think I can.
You know what, Danny Marsden?
No. What?
Well, never mind. Just that... Well, never mind, that's all.
Oh, there you are, Jerry.
Well, hello, Danny.
To make it. The others are already here. Come in.
Oh, thanks, Danny.
Nellie, this is Jerry Prentice. He's a carpenter and a union man. He's also somewhat of an amateur philosopher in his spare time. Jerry, this is Nelly Macroy, my assistant.
How do you do, Miss McCoy?
How do you do, Mr. Prentice?
Over here is Grant Mitchell from the Mid-City Chamber of Commerce.
How do you do, Miss
How do you
Mitchell?
do?
And in the corner, Mrs. Adeline Robbins, representing the investor.
How do you do?
Mrs. Robbins?
All right, Danny, tell us, what is this all about now?
Oh, just as I told you over the phone. I'm getting tired of working for a living. I want you people to write my next article for me.
What's it to be about, Danny?
Taxation.
Well, Danny, I guess everybody has opinions about taxation, but I can't for the life of me see how anything I might say about it could help you write your article.
Well, I think that's where you're mistaken, Mrs. Robbins. I expect you to be a big help indeed. Now, let's get comfortably settled, and I'll explain what it's all about. I picked you 3 people, partly because you're all friends of mine, but also because you represent 3 segments of the population. You, Miss Robbins, represent the investor.
Oh, I've never thought of myself as an investor. Isn't that the man who lives on St. James Street and wears a silk hat?
So, Mrs. Robbins, you are a widow with 3 children to bring up, and you're doing a great job of bringing them up. Helped out by the income from some stocks your husband left you and your part-time job. Isn't that right?
Well, yes, of course. That's perfectly true.
You, Mitch, are here to represent the businessman's point of view.
Mid-City Chamber of Commerce includes a great many farmers, Danny.
Oh, good. They're businessmen, too, after all. And you, Jerry Prentice, will speak for the working man.
I'll do my best, Danny.
Now, Mr. Mitchell, what does the Chamber of Commerce say?
Well, we believe that the government takes away too much of people's incomes and uses it in ways that add nothing to the wealth of the country. The president of the American Chamber of Commerce said recently that when the government of a country takes more than 25% of the people's total income in taxes, it becomes their master instead of their servant. In Canada today, the federal government takes over 21% of the national income, which is getting pretty close to the danger mark. If you include provincial and municipal taxes, the figure becomes over 32%.
Well, in other words, taxes are dangerously high.
Absolutely. If you take away too big a share of a man's earnings in taxes, you rob him of much of the incentive to increase his earnings. Production slows down. The whole economy slows down. And the standard of living takes a drop. And apart from that, I believe that all business, regardless of ownership, whether corporation or cooperative, and whether privately, publicly, or governmentally owned, should make its full contribution to the tax revenue of the country.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, for one thing, some business enterprises are fully taxed and some aren't.
Well, that's hard to believe, Mr. Mitchell. Just where is the inequity?
Well, there are, for example, government-owned businesses that pay no federal taxes at all.
Well, you have a point there.
Government-owned business has a privileged position as far as taxes are concerned, and the result is that the rest of the people in the country have to pay heavier taxes to make up for the taxes they don't pay. Now, that sounds to me like special privilege, something that doesn't fit into a democracy. A private businessman has to pay heavy taxes, and he must adjust the price of his goods to allow for taxes. Now, it's apparent that when public utilities or other businesses, heretofore privately owned, are taken over by municipal or other forms of government, such enterprises are relieved of the heavy taxes on income levied by the federal government. Such loss of revenue must naturally be made up by increased taxation elsewhere.
I see your point all right, Mr. Mitchell. The greater the area occupied by government-owned enterprises, the smaller the area from which business taxes can be drawn, and therefore the greater the burden upon private business.
Exactly. And if the burden becomes too great, businesses will fail and the whole economy will crack up.
I have a taxation complaint, too. It's double taxation. You see, the dividends I get come out of the profits of the company. They're taxed as company profits, and then I have to pay income tax on them again after I get them. That isn't fair either, is it?
I agree with you, Mrs. Robbins. It isn't. Although I understand that something has been done about that.
You're quite right, Mr. Prentice. The Minister of Finance, Mr. Abbott, spoke against double taxation in the House of Commons on March the 22nd, 1949, while presenting his budget. I have his exact words here. He says, the second proposal introduces a measure of reform which has long been a declared objective of this government. I refer to the removal of double taxation of corporate profits, which was one of the aims of the program we placed before the Dominion Provincial Conference in 1945-46. Well, he then went on to announce that stockholders would receive a credit against their income tax of 10% of dividends received from common shares. Later, he announced the extension of the 10% tax credit to include dividends from all classes of shares, both common and preferred. Well, that's some relief at least. But the Chamber of Commerce believes that double taxation should be entirely abolished. It's undemocratic.
Well, we've brought out two good points in regard to taxation, government-owned enterprises and double taxation. Is there anything else?
Yes. Something should be done about hidden taxes.
There's a point.
Taxes are one of the things that keep prices up. The government takes a much bigger slice out of every sales dollar than the manufacturer's profits. Why, if a storekeeper, for instance, got anywhere near as much out of the sales dollar as the government takes, he'd soon be fabulously rich.
Well, then, what's the answer? We think taxes are too high. How are they going to be cut, and how far can they be cut?
Nobody in this country knows how far taxes can be cut. But it's high time we found out.
How do we go about finding out?
For one thing, by doing what the Americans have done. You've heard about the Hoover Commission.
Yes, I've read about it.
It's just spent 2 years and $2 million investigating the working of the executive branch of the American government with a view to finding out how economies can be introduced that will save the American taxpayer money. Now, I think that's what Canada needs. A royal commission similar to the Hoover Commission to find out how the government can economize in its operations without impairing efficiency, of course.
Well, I entirely agree on that score, Mr. Mitchell. For example, a lot of people think it's a fine thing when the government goes into business of one kind or another, competing with private enterprise. Well, I don't. I notice that nearly all of these government businesses lose money, your money and mine, even though they operate tax-free. The only time they ever do make money is when they have a monopoly. Well, that sounds like inefficiency to me. If my money is going to be wasted, I'd like to do it myself, not have the government waste it for me.
Well, you people have really given me a lot of ideas. This is one article I won't have much trouble writing.
Just a minute, Danny. I want to add another point. One thing both labor and management have in common is incentive. Work harder to earn more. But when the government takes too much of a proportion of your increased earnings, well, why bother? A lot of people don't bother. And the result is lower production, less goods, and therefore less wealth in the country for everybody.
Not only less wealth, Mr. Mitchell, less independence. The more of our money we turn over to the government, the more we're dependent on the government. Just carry that to its logical conclusion. If we turned our entire incomes into the government and left it to provide everything we need and run our lives for us, we just wouldn't have any freedom anymore. We'd be slaves of the state. Well, we're partway along that road to slavery now. We go farther along it with every extra cent we pay out in taxes.
You're absolutely right, Mrs. Robbins. Now, Danny, I wonder if you'd mind if I were to read part of the Chamber of Commerce's official policy on taxation.
No, I wish you would.
Well, here it is. The Canadian Chamber of Commerce believes that too large a part of the Canadian national income is diverted to unproductive purposes. In the field of social welfare, the Chamber believes that a careful distinction must be drawn between what is socially desirable as an ultimate aim and what can be achieved without damaging the system which makes our social welfare advances possible.
Well, that pretty well sums up the whole taxation problem in a nutshell. Don't you agree?
I do.
Yes, so do I.
Do you want my opinion, Danny?
Well, certainly, Nellie.
Well, then I'd say the time has come for prompt and direct action.
Action?
Yes, so let's get busy. You go and put on the coffee pot, and I'll make the sandwiches.